Hello my dear friends. In this video, let me explain you the causes of revolt of 1857. 1857 revolt is also known as the India's first freedom struggle, but the British called it only Sepoy Mutiny. This is from a brief history of modern India written by Raju Ahir IPS. Okay, it is very important for your civil services examination and any other competitive exams. Okay, let us start. The revolt of 1857 was a product of the character and policies of colonial rule. Okay, 1857 revolt was the result of the character, quality, and policies of colonial rule. Okay, means colonial rule means British rule. The cumulative effect of British expansionist policies, economic exploitation, and administrative innovations over the years had adversely affected the positions of all. All means whose positions were affected. Let us see. Rulers of Indian states, sepoys, zamindars, peasants, traders, artisans, pandits, Maulvis, etc. Okay, these are all affected by the British policies, economic exploitation, and administrative innovations. The simmering discontent burst in the form of a violent storm in 1857, which shook the British Empire in India to its very foundations. Okay, due to all these reasons, there was discontent among the Indians. Okay, simmering means boiling. Boiling this content burst in the form of a violent storm in 1857. It came out in 1857 in the form of mutiny. This mutiny shook the British Empire India to its very foundations. Okay, it made the British think about their existence in India. The causes of the revolt emerged from all aspects. Means there were many causes for this revolt. Okay, those aspects are socio-cultural, economic, and political of daily existence of Indian population, cutting through all sections and classes. Means cutting through means coming from all sections of classes. Indian population suffered from all these inequalities or sufferings. These causes are discussed below. First one, let us know economic causes. The colonial policies of the East India Company destroyed the traditional economic fabric of the Indian society. The peasantry were never really to recover from the disabilities imposed by the new and highly unpopular revenue settlement. Okay, they introduced revenue settlement systems which didn't allow peasantry means farmers to recover again. Impoverished by heavy taxation, the peasants resorted to loans from money lenders or traders at usurious rates. The latter often evicted the farmer on non-payment of debt dues. What happened? Farmers had to pay revenue to the East India Company. Whenever they were unable to pay taxes, they took loans from the money lenders and traders at usurious means high interest rates. Okay, high interest rates. They took loans, and whenever they were unable to repay loans, the landowners or money lenders evicted them means thrown the farmers out of the land. These money lenders and traders emerged as the new landlords while the scourge of indebtedness has continued to plague Indian society to this day. Okay, they evicted farmers due to non-payment of debt, and those moneylenders and traders emerged as the new landlords. They took over their lands and they became the new landlords. While the scourge means burden of indebtedness. Indebtedness means having to pay debt. While the scourge of indebtedness has continued to plague bother Indian society to this day, means still even today, means at that time, okay, continue to plague the Indian society. British rule also meant misery to the artisans and handicraftsmen. Okay. British rule also meant misery means difficulty to the artisans and handicraftsmen. The annexation of Indian states by the company cut off their major source of patronage. When company annexed Indian states, then their source of patronage support also stopped. Adding to this, British policy discouraged Indian handicrafts and promoted British goods. Okay. British policy did discouragement to Indian handicrafts and promoted British goods only. What they did, they carried raw materials from India to Britain, and there they manufactured goods and brought them back to India and sold here. That's why Indian handicrafts and Indian works were ignored. The highly skilled Indian craftsmen were forced to look for alternate sources of employment that hardly existed, as the destruction of Indian handicrafts was not accompanied by the development of modern industries. The highly skilled Indian craftsmen means Indian craftsmen were skillful, but they didn't get alternative work, as destruction of Indian handicrafts was not accompanied followed by the development of modern industries. No modern industry was developed after the destruction of handicrafts. That's why Indian laborers handicrafts didn't get any other work. Karl Marx remarked in 1853, it was the British intruder who broke up the Indian handloom and destroyed the spinning wheel. England began with depriving the Indian cottons from the European market. It then introduced twist into Hindustan and in the end inundated the very mother country of cotton with cottons. Okay. This was the remark made by Karl Marx in 1853. Zamindars, the traditional landed aristocracy, often saw their land rights forfeited with frequent use of a co-warranto by the administration. Okay, Zamindars also lost their right on lands. This resulted in a loss of status for them in the villages. In this way, they lost their status in the villages. In Awadh, the storm center of the revolt, 21,000 talukdars had their estates confiscated and suddenly found themselves without a source of income. Unable to work, ashamed to beg, condemned to penury. Okay, what happened in Awadh? The where the 1857 revolt broke out. 21,000 talukdars had their estates confiscated. Means their 21,000 talukdars estates were also confiscated, means forfeited, taken by the British, and they suddenly found themselves without a source of income. Okay, whenever the British took the estates of these talukdars, they didn't find another source of income. Okay, unable to work, ashamed to beg, unable to work, and ashamed to beg, condemned to penury means they criticized their poverty. These dispossessed Talukudas seized the opportunity presented by the Sipahi revolt to oppose the British and regain what they had lost. Okay, that's why they supported the Sipahi mutiny to regain their estates. The ruination of Indian industry increased the pressure on agriculture and land. The lopsided development in which resulted in pauperization of the country in general. When Indian industry was destroyed, their pressure increased on agriculture and land. It was the lopsided development in which resulted in pauperization of the country in general. Okay, in general, country's pauperization means poverty in generally resulted happened. Okay, this is all about economic causes. In the next video, let us discuss political causes of the 1857 revolt.